Greetings, Fright Nights and Monster Girls. I'm Count Jackula.
And I'm the Horror Guru.
And we just got done seeing Tao.
The Netflix cyberpunk horror thriller movie, whatever you want to call it. I had it described to me as Blade Runner meets Saw, and there's a little bit of both of those in there, but it's really more of like Short Circuit, really.
Yeah.
With a house.
It's basically Short Circuit with a house AI, or what was the one? Demon Seed.
Demon Seed.
Yeah, or like fucking Demon Seed.
There was this old shitty Disney Channel original movie called Smart House. And it was kind of like that, but if the girl fell in love with the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Themes / trigger warnings are in this movie for all you people who like can't decode what a theme is. We've got abduction. We have got child abuse.
Oh yeah. It's a major theme of this movie.
Oh, it's a huge theme of this movie. That fucking child abuse, man.
Yeah.
We have got what was it? Fucking not Stendhal syndrome. Fucking
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome.
There's a little bit of that.
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome.
Well, this girl's kind of badass, so she doesn't fully go to it, but there's a point where she starts to acquiesce.
Yeah. There's a little bit of that, and so if those are things that upset you, I highly recommend that you check the movie out. Highly recommend it.
I was pleasantly surprised by how enjoyable this movie was.
Oh, yeah, it's
not like the most intelligent movie about AI ever made. But
no,
what it was doing.
It's not as deep as, say, like Ex Machina.
No.
That's not what it was doing.
No, it was a little bit more simpler than that. It was a little bit more, I don't know how to say it, but down to earth and emotional.
Yeah, it was far more emotional and far less cerebral.
Yes.
You know, that was, and I think you nailed it when you mentioned that you feel like Netflix has kind of brought back the mid-budget science fiction flick.
Yeah, hardcore.
Yeah.
You know, movies like Bright was more fantasy, but movies like Mute.
Yeah.
You know, they brought back these mid-budget movies that aren't super high budget, but aren't super low budget. And are risky.
Yeah, they're risky, and they're not a type of movie that you would have seen like 10, 15, or even 20 years ago.
And on top of that, they're original projects. They're not like reboots and remakes.
Right. They're not reboots, they're not remakes, and they're not like, how to put it, a lot of them aren't just B-movie fodder either.
No.
They're just simple movies that are complex in their own way, but aren't, like it's like an Inception level concepts with like a middle budget,
pretty much.
You know, and there really haven't been a lot of those until recently. You know, before you usually, like, if you had a mid-budget thing, you usually just went for pure entertainment value.
Well, I mean, you would have those like in the 80s, but you don't get those much anymore.
No, you really don't. You know?
It's either high budget or super low budget. That's kind of like where things eventually kind of settle.
Yeah. And so the Netflix original movies often hang out in this like kind of what had become a movie no man's land.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, sorry if I'm like stumbling over my words a little bit.
We're both really tired.
Yeah,
been up
both really tired, and it's been a hell of a week.
That's also true.
Yeah, that's also true. Quick capsule review. Thumbs up.
Hell yeah, thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
If you enjoy movies about artificial intelligences, like kind of coming in touch with their humanity, this movie's for you.
Yeah.
If you enjoy thrillers about someone trapped inside of a house with a evil person who's kept them there, Stockholm Syndrome style, then this movie's for you.
Yep.
If you like those two things combined, then this movie's definitely for you.
Yeah, this movie also has the lead actress from The Guest.
Yes, it does.
And It Follows.
And the villain of the movie, the guy that keeps her in this like cybernetic house, is Francis from Deadpool.
Yeah, and the house, Tao, the titular character, is voiced by Gary Oldman.
Who, of course, since he's Gary Oldman, even when he's just a voice in a robotic house, he is still exuding all of the emotions. And
he's still
all the
Gary
pathos.
Oldmaning it up. You're just like, all right, Gary Oldman, even just doing a voice, like, you're
Gary
amazing.
Oldman is a dude in like his 60s or 70s, but he's like playing this robotic house that feels like it's 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So without further ado, well, first of all, we highly recommend the film.
Highly. And it's on Netflix, so go check it out if you have Netflix.
Yeah, and with that, let's just move right into the spoilers. Okay, so as you could probably tell by the themes and some of the things we said, it is about a girl trapped in like a house of the future, but it's already like kind of the near future.
Yeah. It's doing that thing where it's not so far in the future to where it's like flying cars and shit, but it's far enough into the future to where it's not quite now.
Yeah. So it's like, 20 minutes into the future, kind of Max Headroom kind of shit.
Pretty much.
Fucking dude.
A lot of neon colors.
Oh yeah, a lot of neon, especially in the beginning.
Yeah.
There was, and of course it starts out like, good cyberpunk movie should.
In a nightclub.
In a fucking filthy nightclub, man. Well, sleazy as shit.
Basically, the essential premise is she is a pickpocket who has been working a bunch of nightclubs, and she, essentially, all the stuff she pickpockets, she takes to this one, I guess you would say, dealer who...
Yeah, like a fence or a fixer.
Who takes them off her hands and then gives her money, and this is how she makes her living. And because of this, she is kidnapped by this guy who's kind of deemed her as being not really worthy of life, and no one's going to really look for her. Yeah. So that he can use her for his experiments inside his super house.
Yeah.
And the super house is basically her prison because it keeps her in.
Yeah. Very early on, like, they put this like weird, she gets this weird implant in her neck. She's tied up. She tries to escape, find some other prisoners. Most of them get fucking killed by a robot.
Oh, that's another thing. If you like movies about chicks who do not fucking give up and just keep on fighting, this movie's for you.
Absolutely.
Because this chick, no matter what happens, no matter how far beaten down she is, she finds a fucking way to weasel out of the situation and fight back.
Yeah, finds a way to get back at her
I love
captor.
the scene of her, like, her big escape. At the beginning of the movie that, like, gets her cellmates killed. That whole scene, like, the ingenuity she does there, like, getting the scalpel and then cutting the fucking gas line. That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. That's, like, badass horror heroine shit right there.
Yeah, and that's, like, the first, like, 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. Pretty much. Because I'm pretty sure we paused because I needed to use the bathroom and we had like an hour left and it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah. And it's like, and so the titular character doesn't really get introduced until like reel 2, till act 2.
Yeah, that's around like 30 minutes in is when you're introduced to Tao. But trust me, you get a lot of time with Tao.
Oh yeah.
Because the majority of this movie is basically her and Tao bonding. And slowly their friendship, which at times almost feels romantic, at least on his end.
It either feels romantic. It's either romantic or familial.
Yeah. It's really close.
Yeah,
it's really close. Like he starts saying things like, "I'm this is me. I'm giving myself to you." Stuff like that. So it's very, very close and very, very emotional. And this is obviously going to get in the way of the fact that his creator, the person who built the house and the person who's experimenting on her, he basically plans to kill this girl eventually.
Yeah, because he's doing like this weird like AI experiment where he is basically creating an intelligence algorithm using data he collects from human subjects, but the final extraction of the data is lethal.
And initially, he was extracting the equations from their heads by inducing fear and pain in them. And that's how he initially did it. But after she destroys his lab in this explosion, he's reduced to doing other methods, which involve her doing puzzles.
Yeah.
And she's really good at puzzle solving, which is very important because that's how she gets out of this whole situation.
Yeah.
And so, like, he starts having her do these puzzles, and he starts realizing that this is way better than what he was doing before. So he has her do it more and more. But you find out over the course of the movie that once everything's complete inside this here chip in the back of her head, he has to take it out. And when he takes it out, she's dead.
Yeah.
And the thing is that the house knows that she's going to be terminated, but he does not actually realize what terminated is because he's like a little kid. He doesn't really understand all these things. He doesn't know what death is. It isn't until she explains to him that terminated is the same as if he were erased that he realizes the gravity of what's happening.
What's happening.
Which is one of my favorite scenes, by the way, when he's like, I am human. I am not a computer. I did not kill anybody. I'm not a killing machine. Like that.
Yeah. Where basically he's doing like the Johnny Five is alive kind of. Yeah. Like Sonny, I did not murder him. Like,
and I'll admit, I am a total sucker for these kind of movies. I love Short Circuit. I love Chappie. Yeah. I love this movie. I even love it when the machines are bad, like in Hardware.
Yeah.
Which I think I made the joke to you that this movie is basically software.
Yeah. It's hardware, but the machine isn't evil.
Yes, and on top of it, it is a AI algorithm as opposed to
as opposed to a robot.
Even though there is a robot in there called Ares that the software controls at certain points.
Yeah. The house controls basically the security robot that
which is a pretty cool looking robot. It's all like triangular and stuff.
Yeah. It hides itself as like an object of art.
Yeah,
but when it's activated, it turns into like this fucking robot and starts like
killing
people.
I love that it can change its shape to like fit into shafts and shit when she tries to escape through that.
Yeah, the scene where she's in the shaft and it just comes in after her, you're like, oh shit.
The only thing I will say, and this is like a reoccurring problem with all of the Netflix movies, is that the CGI is pretty mediocre in this movie.
Yeah, it could have been better, but whatever.
But like for what it is,
it's passable.
Yeah, it's passable. It's for what it is. It didn't really bother me too much. But I figure if I didn't mention it, somebody in the chat or someone in the description below would just be like, "Oh, fuck the CGI in this movie." So I needed to mention it.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of problems with the CGI in
Comment
this
section
movie.
below, not description.
Yeah, good. Comment and hate on the CGI all you want. Doesn't affect the quality of the film.
It doesn't affect the heart.
No,
of the
doesn't
movie.
affect the core of the movie. It's still good.
I've concluded that there's just something about, little white women that every single non-human thing falls in love with. like
King Kong. We got King Kong, we got the fish man from Shape of Water. We got Tao from this movie.
Beauty and the Beast.
Like, come on. Apparently. No. Sometimes that white girl vagina is magical, apparently.
It's super magical.
I'm telling you, it doesn't squirt vaginal
Mighty
lubricant.
P. King Man.
Mighty P. King Man, yeah.
That's cheating, because that's basically King Kong.
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is that it squirts magical dust.
Yes.
And it just makes everything magical. Enchanting.
Oh, man.
I think that's what pixie dust really is.
Pussy juice.
Pussy juice. Yeah.
There you go. We just earned that M rating.
Fuck. Yeah. Hey, high five. Yeah. All right. So the other thing that's really, really, really kind of interesting about this movie is you don't realize it until you're well into like the last act, but it's basically Tao is an abused child just the way she was. And he is a captive just the way she is.
Because early on in the movie, when he's first doing his like fear and pain experiments on her and causing her this intense pain, that's causing her to think back to her like painful memories and shit when she was abused as a kid. We learn that she had this abusive past, that she had to run away from home and all that shit, which becomes very important later on when we realize that Tao is basically controlled, because if he doesn't do what his master says, his master will like essentially torture him by erasing pieces of his memory.
Yeah, he is a house, but he's trapped inside the house that is him.
Exactly. So by the end of the movie, he does run away from home.
Yeah.
So basically, it's these two children of abused parents who come together,
Yeah. It's something that you mentioned, which is that part of the one of the hidden things in the movie is that if the villain had just treated his AI as if it was a person, he probably would have had everything he needed.
Well, because ultimately, what his problem with his AI was, because it turns out the house is an early version of the AI he's trying to build. But his problem with it is that if you say too many things to it, if you give it too much information, it gets confused or whatever. But then over the course of the movie, you realize it's not that it gets confused; it's that it becomes more human.
Yeah, which means it's harder to control.
Yeah, so he can't control it. It learns more. It grows. It becomes its own master. And you kind of realize you could have had your perfect AI if you were willing to be a father to it.
Yeah. And that whole bit right there, that line right there, you becoming your own master is another big theme of the movie, as is the idea, as Bill Hicks put it at the end of one of his routine, we are the Imagineering of ourselves.
Yes.
We are the creation of ourselves, you know. So that's another big deal.
That's another thing. If you come from an abusive household, then this is a movie about two abused kids fighting back, you know?
Yeah. In the near future.
In the near future.
Yeah. There's gonna be like lasers and robots and shit. Come on.
Surprisingly, there was no lasers, but there was a robot.
No.
There was robots.
Well, there were no laser weapons.
That's
true. There were like regular, normal lasers.
Oh, the boring kind?
Yeah. The kind that scan shit, you know, and they make that little red dot and crap, you know.
There's a lot of touch screens in this movie.
Yeah.
Everything's a touch screen.
That was actually a part of the CGI that I thought was really good.
Oh, that stuff was great.
Yeah.
That stuff was
all the stuff with the screens was really good, to the point where I'm looking at that and I'm going, which of these walls is actually part of the set?
Oh yeah, that shit was great. That was basically just like really well done green screening and shit like that.
Yeah,
I meant more when they had like little flying droids and stuff.
Some of the sometimes when the droids are little, because the guy has these little drones that fly around the house that do various shit.
They're basically like flying Roombas. They clean shit.
Yeah, they clean crap, and there's a demonstration of that early in the film, but. Yeah, like those ones aren't as good as the CGI they use to just make the house.
Exactly.
Like the interior of the house is like
I was looking at this house and I'm going, I love this house. Like I would totally live in it.
Yeah, it looks great.
I would want to eat better food than that fucker eats, but like,
well, yeah, because like
he has that shitty fine dining food where it's like really small portions and it barely looks like food. It's like shapes.
Yeah. It's like it's that feeling of like he's the robot.
He is.
You know?
That's totally
he's the robot.
He has the same routine every morning. He has the same thing he does every single day. He eats these really fucking robotic, like, square food. He doesn't really eat anything. It's not like a juicy steak. He has no creativity in his mind. He can't even code his own AI. He has to steal it from people's brains. Like, it's like...
Yeah. He's obviously a really intelligent guy who is just... And he has this huge house that he just fucking lives in by himself. And he's just like, why would it be anything else?
And there's this pretty great exchange between him and the girl, where the girl's just like, well, what do you do after this? What happens when you get this $1 billion AI contract and all that shit? And the guy doesn't seem to know how to answer the question.
Yeah. Like, he's just like, I'll just move on to the next project. Yeah. You know, like
the guy has no true passions, you know? He's just going through the motions and making millions, and the only thing he cares about is his ego, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. Even the money is kind of secondary.
Well, because he's got so much already, he's not going to be hurting.
Yeah. He loses his $1 billion contract. It's not really gonna...
Like, his entire lab blows up, and he has replacement parts for the entire fucking lab sent to him the next day.
Yeah. Like, he's like an evil, like, fucking, Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, like, early on in the movie, it's like, oh, man, like, evil Elon Musk is really fucking dickish.
Yeah, well, there've been a lot of evil Elon Musks in movies, man. What was that last one that we saw had an evil Elon Musk in?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. There was this one. There was a fucking other one that we saw, like, not too terribly long ago.
There was a movie I saw called Upgrade that has an evil Elon Musk in it. Though I think it was like a weird Zuckerberg Musk in that movie.
Okay, yeah. But, there's Jurassic World.
Jurassic
World had a fucking Elon Musk character in it.
He was less evil in that one.
He was less evil, but still.
He was just kind of naive. And
Yeah. Well, like, how to put it? Like, him crashing that thinking he could fly that helicopter, that's like trying to build a mini sub for kids. You know?
I love you, Elon Musk, but goddamn, man, sometimes you just got
that was kind of that's a great idea. That just did not have
here's
what
what
an application.
I hope this
if that with for the problem at hand.
My only hope is that the sub is used in the future to save someone's life, and that it was actually.
Oh yeah,
worth it.
That would be. I'll eat.
I'll
happily eat crow if
I'm
it's
not
like
gonna berate someone for trying to help.
Yeah, exactly. Although hey man, I'll happily eat crow if it turns out that like safety robot sub saves like 10 dozen children from a volcano.
Just wait, it'll happen.
Yeah,
it'll happen. It'll happen.
Oh well, like we're getting on to we're getting on to the real robot events of the day as opposed to the movie. So we should probably move on right here. You can follow me on Twitter at @count_Jackula. You can also find me on Twitch. I've been streaming there like pretty sporadically the last couple of weeks, but we always have a stream here on YouTube, 6 p.m. Thursday Pacific Standard Time, and again on Sunday, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we hope to see you there. And where can they find you?
You can find me at The Horror Guru on Twitter, on YouTube, on Twitch. Just look up The Horror Guru, you will find me. And I like this movie.
It's really good. It's really good. So, until next time, everybody, Ave Satsanas, Disco Inferno, and keep watching fucked up movies.